Hey everyone, I'm Suede Wanamaker, and welcome to Cinematic Vault. This is a space for cinematic storytelling, fan-made, reimagined, and brought to life visuals and narration. Every project you see here was carefully written, built around emotion, myth, and meaning. Today we are going over the 23rd story in the Godzilla Cinematic Universe. Now sit back and let the vault open. A tale of hubris, mutation, and horror. This is Godzilla, Terror of Evolution, a fan-made film story written by Suede Wanamaker, realized with AI visuals and AI narration.
A ripple moves through Tokyo Bay where no current should exist. Sonar returns a shape that is not a submarine, not a whale, not a known machine, only a mass that keeps changing. Miles inland, a subterranean bioweapons facility lies in ruins, walls split outward, containment glass melted from inside. On scorched terminals, the same word repeats in recovered logs. A code name, an ambition, a mistake. Project. Shin. The city continues as normal above it. Trains on time, offices lit, the low thrum of a metropolis, unaware it is already inside the first minute of a disaster. Dr. Keiko Arai returns to the program she once fought to end. She walks a corridor of broken lights and irradiated dust, collecting what little can still be read. Growth curves, regenerative thresholds, the assumption that nature can be drafted into national defense. A young researcher, Riku Hayashi, reconstructs the chain of custody from a molted fragment of Godzilla Junior, clean on paper, corrupted in the ocean. Destroyah's microscopic remnants rode in with it, dormant until fed. The outcome was never a clone, never a guardian, only an engine of adaptation with no concept of balance. While investigators argue over protocols, another set of logs surfaces. An unsanctioned branch within the project, accelerated, shielded from oversight. The phrase bioadaptive organism recurs beside heat signatures that spike and vanish. Minister Takahashi is briefed and chooses containment of information over containment of threat. The public is told nothing. The pressure of secrecy mounts in a city built on routine. Under bridges and seawalls, things begin to move that have never moved before. It rises at the port district in daylight, a slug-like colossus with a semi-upright spine, translucent flesh pulsing with red light, eyes unfocused, limbs still budding, tail primitive. It stumbles and learns as it breathes. Cargo cranes crumple. Seawater boils around it. Vehicle alarms scream in a chorus that becomes a single urban note. Panic. Cameras everywhere capture what language cannot organize. The larval apex does not attack. It exists, and the shape of the world bends in response. Armored vehicles arrive in rows and are unmade in rows. Munitions tear sheets of tissue that close as fast as they open. Every wound is a lesson. The organism's organs glow brighter, mapping new pathways under the skin, as if sketching its next revision in real time. Lieutenant Hiroshi Sato measures distances, fields of fire, evacuation lanes, and the limits of resolve when the city itself becomes the battlefield. The order is retreat, and the feeling is failure. The creature slides back into the bay and vanishes. 24 hours of quiet follow, heavy and wrong. The government calls it an industrial accident. Footage disappears from networks. Markets steady, but in laboratories and hospitals the evidence grows. Irradiated water intake, fish die-offs, molten residue on pier stone, a map of contact points that shape a spiral toward the city center. Riku proves the fusion. Godzilla's regenerative code braided with Destroyah's uncontrolled division. Keiko recognizes the only honest conclusion. This will not stop on its own. It returns taller, leaner, purposeful, an uncanny echo of Godzilla made wrong. The evolved stalker steps into the streets with twitching precision, dorsal plates overgrown, skin charred, and weeping heat. It does not thrash blindly. It chooses targets like a living algorithm. Substations fail in sequence. Telecom towers fold. Rail lines choke under dust and twisted steel. Each outage widens the city's silence. Sirens become fewer. The organism's breath flickers into a plasma blade that cuts more than it burns, an unfinished weapon already fatal. Keiko and Riku bring the origin to Sato, a man-made genesis seeded by hubris and completed by the sea. There is no time for blame, only triage. A containment concept forms. Sonic pulses tuned to destabilize Destroyah line cells, paired with a chemical agent designed to jam regenerative cascades. It is not elegant. It is not guaranteed. It is the only thread left. Sato requisitions mobile emitters and dispersal drones. He counts casualties before the operation begins. Minister Takahashi delays mass evacuation to prevent unrest. Curfews replace warnings. Permits replace routes. The city's arteries clog while neighborhoods self-evacuate in fear. Hospitals overflow with thermal injuries and silent radiation. The illusion of control becomes its own catastrophe. Keiko records a private admission of responsibility. Riku prepares a public leak. Sato reads the weather. Wind patterns, humidity, the microclimate of a burning metropolis, and knows there are no perfect windows left. At dusk, sonic towers hum along an avenue of dark glass and ash. Drones arc overhead, releasing the destabilizing compound in a drifting veil. For a moment, the colossus falters. Flesh ripples backward against itself, plates stutter, limbs seize. The city exhales an involuntary breath of hope. The plan looks almost like wisdom. Almost. The organism answers. Heat surges along fractures in its hide and vitrifies surrounding structures. The sonic arrays liquefy where they stand. Chemistry that should have jammed regeneration instead becomes new input, new fuel. The plasma breath steadies into a cutting torch that threads through concrete and armor as if through paper. Sato watches units disappear inside incandescent air and understands that the goal has changed. Victory is no longer on the table. Survival is the only metric left. Power dies. Pumps stop. Subways fill with black water that tastes of metal and salt. The city's map unravels. Light by light, ward by ward. Keiko's confession moves across the network just before the network fails. Fragments of truth propagate like embers on hot wind. Takahashi attempts to seize the narrative and finds there is nothing left to seize. In the end, he stands in a government office that no longer governs, hearing only the distant cadence of a single giant moving through a dying grid. Shin enters Tokyo proper without haste, because haste is unnecessary. Each step is an event. Asphalt liquefies. Windows burst outward and heat blooms. The breath weapon sputters, blossoms, and carves, leaving avenues of glass and wire. People survive in pockets, on rooftops and tunnels beneath collapsed stairwells, not because the creature spares them, but because it does not notice. The metropolis becomes a kill, then a cemetery, then a red horizon without angles. From a hill of broken stone, The city looks briefly like a map of the human century, ending. Air assets make a final pass. Special munitions fall like arguments delivered too late. The organism adapts mid-impact, tissues densifying, heat radiance climbing, the tail flexing with unfamiliar intent. Keiko and Riku calculate models that offer only timelines, not solutions. Sato redirects remaining forces to corridors where civilians still move, trading terrain for lives and steel for minutes. At street level, the Colossus pauses, listening to a frequency only it can hear, the pulse of its next self assembling beneath its skin. Tokyo is ash and steam. The skyline is a memory written in smoke. In the center stands what was made in secret and perfected by catastrophe. Still changing, still learning, not finished. The camera moves in close, where the heat shimmer is thickest. Its arms, once crude and malformed, begin to shrivel, sinking into the body like useless remnants. Bone cracks, flesh knots. The surface bulges and splits as something new fights for shape. The remnants twitch, half-formed, not arms but not nothing. A grotesque preview of the next stage. The city falls silent, not because the danger has ended, but because a new beginning has been announced. Cut to black. The evolution does not stop. Godzilla, terror of evolution. The nightmare humanity created. If you enjoyed this journey into forgotten legends and untold worlds, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell so you never miss a new upload. Thank you for stepping into the vault where every story leaves a mark.